Rolling Up the River with the Gridiron Geek. I am Rolynn, and this is the Gridiron Geek. How are you doing?
Rolynn, it's been a long off season, and
Yes,
I'm glad I found you during it. I'd
yes,
like
me
to
too.
introduce our Mississippi Magazine community to Rolynn, who is our new talk show host for the Gridiron Geeks Power Poll, for the Jefferson County Power Poll, and the Gridiron Geeks Friday Night Predictions. I found Rolynn on a talk show. She's got a terrific news show on YouTube called Rolynn's Reviews. And one day I was listening to her, and she said she was going to watch an NFL game with her friends on a Sunday, but she called it a football Friday. And I thought about that for a long time. I was like, well, why would a talk show host be like touting the NFL coming up on Sunday and say it's going to be a football Friday? And then I thought it could only be because she knows Friday Night Lights. Friday
Right?
Night Lights is where her and her friends started going to football. They still call it Football Friday.
Yeah.
And I found out that Rolynn hails from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And has a long career in teaching
Yes. Yes, I
and
do.
also in the game of pigskin, having been a member of a chain gang in the past. It's
Yes,
correct.
yes. For years, I was chain gang crew until I developed plantar fasciitis. That's the only thing that stopped me.
Well, there have been an awful lot of athletes in the gridiron that have been stopped by something I can't pronounce. So that's not really. That's not
Exactly. But I
impressive.
I go out to support our student athletes. So yeah, football's big in North Carolina. So yeah,
Well, I won't lie to you and say that Friday Night Lights have always been big here.
right,
As our readers know, there have been a lot of changes over the past 5 or 10 years,
right,
and a lot of really good changes as our uh, really post COVID, for some reason, or even during COVID and after COVID,
right,
um, this area of eastern Missouri, often overlooked, has turned into kind of a hotbed. We've
right.
got teams from here and teams from just up north in St. Louis who've
Okay,
been going to different states and playing ESPN 100 teams and heralded teams from, championship teams from the South and from SEC country. And we don't win, but we don't, we haven't won those games, but some of them have been pretty competitive. And it's gone against everything I was ever taught that, like, oh, Eastern Missouri, if we ever went down to Alabama or Mississippi, anywhere like that, oh, they'd just wipe us off the field, 200. Cumberland versus Georgia Tech, 200 to nothing.
right,
And it hasn't worked out that way. We've
right,
seen, uh, I won't call it a renaissance, I'll call it just a eruption of
right.
really never before seen success from all kinds of large and small schools around here. The theme for today's show is the week 2 Jefferson County Power Poll.
Okay, geek. How did everything go in week one for the Dirty Dozen?
The Dirty Dozen had a roller coaster of a week 1.
Oh wow.
Anybody that was cheering for Jefferson County's teams in general would have seen some real highlights and some real lowlights.
Right.
Um, Last year's Show Me Bowl runner-up, the Festus Tigers, had a terrific game.
Okay.
Went to Rolla and won really unexpectedly on that road trip. Won the game handily over a much bigger school at Rolla.
Okay.
Hillsboro won, another one of our legacy teams and a forever crosstown rival of Festus. Hillsboro won.
Okay.
Um, and the Jefferson Blue Jays had a really impressive week 1 performance.
Oh
So
wow.
did the Northwest Lions with Class 6. Then we get into some of the sob stories. Um, Seckman had a 22 game regular season winning streak broken
Okay.
by Parkway West and their Division One quarterback that they have
Right.
in a very close game. The Seckman Jaguars lost to fall to 0 and 0 or 0 and 1.
Okay.
Um, Crystal City, our sweetheart team on the blog, our inspirational Cinderella story of the Tri Cities. They
Right.
were blown out very unexpectedly by the Sykeston Bulldogs, once again, much larger school.
Okay.
Um, and the St. Pius Lancers, who I think we all had high hopes, but get off to a 1-0 start, fell to Caruthersville in week 1. So we had some really great success stories, and
Okay.
then we had some gut checks right out of the starting blocks
Right.
going into week 2.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I guess we will want to know who number 12 is. Who's
In
at
the Jefferson County Power Poll.
in the Jefferson County Power Poll? Who's the unlucky team at the bottom?
Oh, it's always a sensitive thing when you have to rank a team last.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get out of it by ranking 2 teams tied at number 11 instead of ranking a team last at number 12.
Okay.
Furthermore, this week's 12th ranked team just went to overtime with
Wow.
another team from the power poll. So a lot of people would ask, why could you rank them last when they literally just tied somebody else? But our number 12 ranked team this week is the Herculaneum Blackcats.
Right.
Herculaneum Blackcats.
Okay.
And they lost in overtime to the Windsor Owls, who are a much bigger school, but really a rival of Herky.
Okay.
Windsor and Herculaneum have been having close games since I was a kid.
Oh wow.
Probably, yeah. I mean, they're probably always going to have close games. It doesn't really matter so much if one team's having a successful season and the other team isn't. It just seems like you put those 2 schools together and they have close games,
Yeah.
often low scoring games. Now, we've been waiting for one team to kind of show superiority over the other one in a given year because it seems like they always play right at the beginning. And wouldn't that shine well on either of them if they were able to outclass their opponent? But every time Windsor and Herky have another tied, like overtime,
Right.
fight to the finish,
Yeah.
it's really a mixed emotion because it's like, well, we're happy that they had a close game, but
Right.
man, they've been doing this for a while, and it doesn't seem to lead to a lot of success in the regular season to come. So Herky, having lost that game 34-28 in overtime, we're
Wow.
going to have to rank them below the Windsor Owls and at number 12.
Okay. All right, Geek. Since you said that, that's taking me back, and I don't want to date myself, but you're talking about how competitive the teams were. That takes me back to 1989. Yes, I'm that old. I remember the Cowboys only won one game that year, and they beat Washington. So it doesn't matter. And so that just took me back. It doesn't matter how good or how bad. When teams are competitive, sometimes teams get up for one team in particular. It doesn't matter how bad they are. They will play their best game that day and beat that team that's, doing very well.
That's a really good point, and I think it kind of relates to the Herculaneum story right now,
Right.
because obviously in 1989 the Cowboys had a brand new coach in
Yes.
Jimmy Johnson,
Jay.
and wasn't there a lot of controversy about the previous coach Tom Landry, the great Tom
Yes.
Landry,
He was
having
fired.
having to step aside? Yeah, I mean there was that whole story about how like Murchison or Bum Bright like got out on the golf course and tracked
Yeah.
him down,
Yeah.
and there were so many hurt feelings. And with Herky, they've had a coach named Blaine Boss for quite a while now, who's caused a little friction with some of the kids. We've actually seen some kids drop off from Herky's varsity, and their varsity numbers go down a little bit.
Okay.
And so my argument before the season is that they should have made a change.
Right.
But they didn't. They didn't trade Herschel Walker. They didn't trade Herschel Walker. They didn't hire Jimmy Johnson. So we're going to see how it goes. But
Right.
Herculaneum in week 2 will play Fredericktown. It's another traditional
Okay.
game for Herky.
All right.
And Fredericktown is a beatable opponent for Herculaneum. So we'll see if they can get to 1-1 in week 2.
Who's at number 11?
Number 11 is the Windsor Owls.
Okay.
And the Windsor Owls are a promising team. And once again, some of these old-fashioned football terms like revival, rebuilding,
Right.
they don't always apply to our scenarios in Jefferson County, but sometimes they do. But some of the scenarios are a little different.
All right.
Windsor has been a struggling team for a long time. They're one of the large schools that has to play a lot of small schools
Oh,
to
wow.
get by and have competitive games during the season. But um, there are some changes at Windsor, and I think they're good changes.
Good
We've got
change.
a new head coach in his second year, but still kind of new in the grand scheme of things, and kind of taking over and trying to remold the program. Is a
Right.
fellow named Lee Freeman. Uh,
Okay.
was a successful head coach of the Hillsboro Hawks for a long time and helped to kind of build that legacy.
Okay.
And then he got a hold of this kind of build from scratch job in Windsor, which is in Imperial, Missouri, which is the same town as the very successful Seckman Jaguars are from.
Oh, wow.
So Seckman and Windsor used to play a game, kind of the Battle of Imperial, every year. And I think one of Windsor's goals right now is to start to get good enough again where they can start to think about playing that game again, because they haven't played that game in a while. Everybody feels it should just be a foregone conclusion between the successful Imperial team and the unsuccessful Imperial team. But we
Okay.
can't call them unsuccessful after last week, because they did defeat Herculaneum in overtime. That was our yes. Cheers.
Who does the geek have at number 10 this week?
Number 10 this week is the Grandview Eagles.
Okay.
Now, the Grandview Eagles are really a pretty good team already, and we're expecting a lot more bigger things from them this year. This is where we're getting into this hotbed component already
Right.
of Jefferson County having a lot of good teams. You can have a power poll that goes from 1 to 10 or 1 to whatever number,
Okay.
and it's the bottom of the power poll where you start see the good teams already,
All right.
and because we have so many now. So Grandview got off to an unlucky start. I think they had a game that they had to replace
Okay.
Grandview from Dittmer, Missouri, close to Hillsboro. A pretty small school. They play in our small schools quad county conference
Okay.
alongside Jefferson and some other team, and Herky and some other teams.
Right.
And Jefferson had to replace their week one matchup this year.
Okay.
And they wound up with a replacement game against Quincy Notre Dame from
Oh, wow.
Illinois. But yeah,
Ooh,
that just sounds like a powerful opponent,
it
doesn't it?
sounds powerful.
You want to play some Quincy Notre Dame.
It sounds like a
And
roaring lion.
Quincy Notre Dame, Quincy Notre Dame is the reigning champion of the Central State 8
Okay.
conference in Illinois.
Wow.
So I don't really know where Grandview came up with that matchup. I give them credit for going to play it. They lost by 40 points, but they did score. They didn't get shut out. And I think all in all, to just get through that game is a learning experience without
Oh,
any
yeah.
injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Now Grandview is coming back in week 2 to begin to play their schedule that I think we're all a little bit more familiar with. And that's going to start with a road trip to Bayless.
All right.
The Bayless Broncos, who Grandview was able to defeat in week 2 of last season. So Grandview is another team that we hope can get back to 1-1 this week.
All right. Who does the geek have listed at number 9?
This is where it starts to get really tight. I'm going to have to review my notes. I think this week's ninth ranked team is the Crystal City Hornets.
Okay.
Now, we've all got a lot of love for Crystal City because they're the best Cinderella story. They're really the best underdog story in Jefferson County.
All right.
And they're the best, one of the best Cinderella stories in the state, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just for anybody out there who doesn't know the background, and most of you, I think, do. Crystal City was a team that we thought was kaput. We thought this was a football program that they're either going to play 8-man football or they're going to do something else. They don't have the resources or the ability to do 11-man football anymore. This was about 7 or 8 years ago.
Wow.
They're the smallest school in Missouri, typically, that has an 11-man football program. Sometimes there's a couple 11-man football programs that are a little bit smaller, technically, but over the long term, they've essentially been the smallest one. and they have a beautiful field in the bottom of the valley on Bill Bradley's old farm.
Oh, wow.
We call it Bradley's Farm, and there's beautiful river flats and wheat and all that stuff. The harvest moon comes up over the scoreboard. It's fantastic, but it also floods.
Oh, no.
So in the previous decade, the football field wound up costing Crystal City municipality easily over $1 million. It flooded several times. One time, I'm pretty sure it flowed away. Actually, it floated to the top of the valley, out to the road, and began to get on the road. I mean, it was just a nightmare.
Oh, no.
And out of that, they had a team in the COVID era that went 0-10, had about 12 or 13 healthy kids on it.
Oh, wow.
And we just said, that's it. This is the end of the Crystal City football's been around forever. It's a great tradition, but all things must pass. There it goes. And then 5 years later, here they are.
Wow.
I saw the turnaround in 2021 when they started winning.
Okay.
They've developed such a wonderful recruiting on their campus. Of course, in high school, you recruit on your own campus. You don't recruit anybody else's. But you got to get the best kids from your school to go out for football. And Crystal City has had more and more kids go out for football to the point where I think almost every able-bodied boy in the school and some of the girls at this point have to consider it when they turn 14. I mean, just a tremendous turnout.
Right.
Crystal City turned into a winning team in late 2021. They've had 3 excellent seasons in a row. They've been to the Final 8, to the state quarterfinals 2 years in a row. And so that's why it was really disappointing to see Crystal City get blown out last week. I don't think anybody expected it. Crystal City had a close game with that opponent the previous year, and we felt like Crystal City was a lot more prepared for the matchup this summer. I think what happened is Crystal City has a brand new coach. And he seems like he's really good, but there's been a lot of hype and a lot of pomp and circumstance around him. And I think they just got nervous. And once you get nervous and start fumbling the ball away on your own goal line against a much larger school, it's what did Don Meredith sing?
Oh, yeah. Turn out
The
the
lights.
party's over. Hey.
So unfortunately, that was a syndrome that befell Crystal City last week. But last year during the regular season, Crystal City struggled lots of times.
Yes.
And then by the playoffs, they were the same really good team that we're starting to get used to seeing from the Crystal City Hornets. So we really feel strongly that they'll put it together by the end of the season. Being number 9 is no embarrassment for Crystal City because they're so small.
Right. Oh,
We
yeah.
don't handicap our power poll based on the size of the schools.
Right.
What you see in the power poll is what we think would happen if there was a tournament tomorrow with all of these teams in it. Who would win and who would lose and who would be in the middle. So there's no shame in landing at number 9. I think Crystal City has an opportunity to move up this season and to get into the top half of the rankings again.
Sounds good. Who does the Geek have at number 8?
Number 8 is the St. Pius Lancers. They're the only private school in our Dirty Dozen.
Okay.
But they really do things the right way. You can tell that they're an honest sports program because they have so much competitive sports, always competitive games with their rivals.
Right.
Over time, St. Pius is always just about at the same strength of their arch rivals, whether it's St. Vincent or Jefferson.
Okay.
And so I think that a lot of folks have become St. Pius fans, St. Pius football fans here in the past few years because the excitement around the program is building. Whispers of a new venue, although we love the old stadium. Our nickname for the old stadium, or for the current stadium, which is fairly old, is called Hill Valley.
Okay.
Because it's such a throwback. So if you know Back to the Future, I nicknamed it Hill Valley after the 50s town because it's really a throwback. They play on this old wavy grass field.
Oh, wow.
something about that Notre Dame influence for a Catholic school. They're out there playing on a prairie, and the grass just looks like it's 6 inches tall, and it's turned into a big advantage for St. Pius on their home field. A lot of visiting boys get tired running on that big wavy or that deep wavy grass at St. Pius. Unfortunately, last week was one of those disappointing losses that we had. Caruthersville visited St. Pius for a game that I think myself and other people around town, I think we felt like St. Pius should probably win it.
Okay.
And Caruthersville's head coach is clever. He sandbagged us.
Okay.
And he pretended as though he had a terrible team this season and there was no way they were going to be as good as they were in previous years. I mean, he came out and told newspapers he didn't even take the team to a jamboree. They didn't play anybody in the preseason. I
Wow.
suspect it's because the Caruthersville coach told his players, like, "Oh, I'm not going to put you against anybody. You'll be embarrassed." And so he kind of sandbagged everybody and used that reverse psychology. And whether it made the St. Pius Lancers overconfident or not, I don't know. But it was a sloppy game. It was typical of a week one game. We're not reading too much into it for St. Pius that they're 0-1. We think that
Okay.
they're headed for a successful year as well.
Okay. Who does the geek have at number 7?
Number 7 is the DeSoto Dragons, falling from number 5 in our off-season power poll. DeSoto had a disappointing start also in Illinois, going to play the Freeburg Midgets. Yes, the Freeburg Midgets. Everybody gets a chuckle out of that one.
Sure.
The funny part about the Freeburg Midgets is that they're a very big team. They're not always really fast, but the midgets are always big. So why are they called the midgets?
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason. You remember that song?
I'm a little hazy on some of the great old songs that you sing, Rolynn.
Now,
I know most of them.
to be fair, I am a music savant, all genres. To be fair.
I've known that from the first day we spoke.
Yes, yes, yes.
So DeSoto goes to play the Freeburg Midgets, who are very big with irony, um, and loses 30-14 in week one. We're not reading too much into it yet. I
Okay.
think it was a little bit tougher game for DeSoto than they often have in week one. And DeSoto also has a winnable game. I think most of our teams have winnable games this week too. So we'll look forward to seeing if DeSoto can get back to 500 with a game against Perryville, which is a large school between here and Sikeston, Missouri.
Right. Who does the geek have listed at number 6?
Number 6 is the Jefferson Blue Jays. Jefferson Blue Jays once again starting to climb back up into the top half of the power poll. Jefferson had a 52-7 victory over Priory last week, the Priory Ravens. And I think we all expected Jefferson to win that game. But the fact that Jefferson looked so sharp and scored so many points is a really good sign. I think if you talk to the people around the Jefferson Blue Jays program, I think there's a feeling that they might have it all coming together this year.
Wow.
Senior quarterback and Cooper Frisk. There are linemen. There are 3 linemen that the coaches have touted as being potential all-state linemen. And you might say, oh, well, that's Jefferson coaches. Of course they think their kids are going to be all-state. What my answer to that would be, I know the Jefferson coaches, and they're more likely to play down their team. Last year, they told me point blank that they thought their team was going to stink. And they just had another winning season like they always do.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, once again, coaches that use that reverse psychology, they want the kids to hear whispers getting back to them. They want the kids to hear gossip about, oh, Coach Smith said, you're just not going to be there in week one. He doesn't think you're ready.
Reverse
and then
psychology. Yeah.
reverse psychology, and then the kids want to prove them wrong. They come out with less pressure, less expectations. I
Right.
shouldn't say Coach Schmidt because Coach Matt Atley is the coach at for the Jefferson Blue Jays. And what we know of is Jefferson R7, not really a town, just sort of a region of Jefferson County that's not incorporated, but it's a beautiful place. I used to live there,
Okay.
and Jefferson didn't have its own high school there for a long time, so they're still a relatively new program, and they've been really impressive from the start. A lot of great accomplishments in the past, and we think maybe that this Jefferson team can live up to that. We're looking to see forward to see what Mr. Frisk does in his senior season.
All right. Who does the geek have listed at number 5?
Number 5 is the Northwest Lions. And would you believe that the Northwest Lions were a candidate for number 12 at the bottom of the
What?
power poll? Yes, as few as 18 months ago. Northwest has been a team that, they went on more of a, you talk about a team going on a roller coaster ride. Northwest football from Cedar Hill, Missouri, has been on more of a slow motion roller coaster ride, being this
Okay.
powerhouse in the 70s and the 80s, and then really uh, falling down all the way to the cellar of Misha, or at least to the cellar of Class 6, which is the largest large school division.
Okay.
Cedar Hill is a very big town. It's a tremendously big high school, so they're always in Class 6. Gives them some of the toughest competition around against the biggest schools, and Northwest was unsuccessful for a real long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
That does happen.
um, last year it does, and it's a catch 22, because how are you going to get all the boys at the school to go out for football when they see a losing team on the field?
Very interesting. You should say that. I teach high school, and you're absolutely right. And I always ask my students, well, because I love football, I play football. I'm like, are you on the team? And some say no. And I say, why not? They say, oh, the team sucks. I'm like, well, uh, go in and make it better. So you're absolutely right.
If you don't go out for the team, and there's a bunch of you that talk that way, who really
Yes.
should go out for the team, but you decide not to, and you like football, and nobody has to twist your arm to make you play it, but you still don't go out for the team because your attitude isn't right,
Yeah.
um, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You,
Facts.
you, you cause the team to lose,
Right.
uh, and I've seen it with sports teams and businesses alike. If everybody gets a bad enough attitude, they can just cause something to lose out. I think it
Facts.
takes a special group of kids to turn it around in that scenario. And at Northwest, I think we had finally that special group of kids that could potentially turn it around. And they already had what I think you could call a watershed winning season last year. Overall, they were 5-5, but they won a terrific uh, game with a comeback
Yeah.
over a rival school named Oakville in Week 9 that took them to 5-4 for just the regular season. So it was a winning season for Northwest, the first one in a while. Um,
Okay.
Cohen Stark is a fan of Mississippi Magazine. We're always pleased when our boys who are fans of the magazine show up in the Facebook group and then go out and win for us on Friday.
Wow.
And Cohen Stark, along with a receiver that I forgot was coming back as a senior this year, was Omarion Frazier. I
Okay.
had Northwest wide receiver Omarion Frazier's years wrong in my mind.
Right.
And when I saw this week one as Northwest really dominated a school called Sullivan, a team called the Sullivan Eagles in week
Right.
one, and won in a blowout, it was Cohen Stark passing to Omarion Frazier. So that was, for me, that kind of reminded me, oh man, I gotta take another hard look at these guys, because they're racing up the power pole. They've
Yeah.
gone from number 12 to 5 already, and that might not be the end of it.
All right. Who does the geek have listed at number 4?
Number 4 in the power poll in week 2 is the Fox Warriors. And that probably sounds like a very boring thing to a lot of my longtime fans because they've been getting used to see the Fox Warriors around 3 or 4 on the power pole for a long time. I think that this season, Fox has a lot more experience at quarterback than they had last season.
Okay.
A really good playmaker in DJ Cox. And they've got a chance to beat the Seckman Jaguars in our one and only sort of local rivalry game that we have coming up in week 2.
All right.
But I also think that um, Fox has to do a better job of publicizing their team.
Okay.
You just talked about kids at your school in Fort Bragg not wanting to go out because they think the team's going to stink anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, another reason that they don't always go out is if the administrators and the coaches and the faculty, this is just my opinion,
Oh,
if
yeah.
they don't do enough to publicize the team, and the
That's
team is essentially playing in the dark. Like they go and play on Friday, and the cheerleaders show up and they do the chants, but it's not anywhere on it's not on TV, it's not on a stream,
you're
it's not on a
absolutely right.
radio.
You're right.
They don't post about it. Nobody takes pictures. Nobody has highlights. The coach doesn't say anything after the game. It's
And
as if it never happened.
Geek, what you're saying is absolutely correct. That's a truth bomb. Let me say this. um, we used to have lots of um, pep rallies. And again, that get the student that makes them really feel loved and important. We don't really. We may have one pep rally, and it's during homecoming. So you're absolutely right. You have to garner interest because we know this age group. If not, they're going to be playing what video games or whatever, or just in the house. You have to get them motivated and engaged.
Yeah, and I think there are still some Missouri coaches who feel like it's not a macho enough message. You know, it's like, hey, you scored a touchdown. We're going to do a rap video version of it on YouTube. We're going to put the highlights and all this stuff. You know, they don't want to be known for that. They want to say, we're all about the team. We just care about winning. We wouldn't put names on the back of our jerseys. We don't care. We're
Yeah.
just the team, you know. And what I
Newsflash.
say to that is, yeah,
Yeah. Newsflash. I remember a coach who lost his job in Dallas, Mike McCarthy. He said the same thing. So I'm
that's interesting that even an NFL coach
it's the
can
same thing. They say one thing.
develop problems for that attitude
Yes.
because I feel like nobody gets paid to, for the most part, nobody gets paid to promote a high school team.
Right.
And maybe they do at IMG Academy or at Bishop Gorman,
Yeah.
but at your local public school, they really don't. So I think everybody has to take an active interest in doing that and hyping up the kids because if you don't, then there won't be anything.
No,
And then that's a demoralizer for the kids. So I saw Fox
it is.
in week 1 putting their victory, pardon me, putting their victory over Melville on TV,
Right.
on Misha TV that we have here, which they struggled to get their games on that stream last year, but this year they are.
Right.
And so that's a positive step. And I think you know, winning begets hype too. So if we see Fox go to 2-0 in week 2, then I think we might hear a little bit more noise out of a very big campus in Arnold, Missouri, the
Okay.
Fox Warriors of Class 6.
Who does the geek have listed at number 3?
Number 3 is one of our Show Me Bowl teams.
All right.
Hillsboro Hawks went to the 2023 Show Me Bowl and played Kearney
Okay.
from Jesse James's hometown near Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
They had a shoot 'em up shootout with Kearney. Lost the game, but came away with a lot of praises.
Okay.
The first team from Class 4 at Jefferson County to finish runner-up or go to the Show Me Bowl, to my knowledge. And the Hillsboro Hawks are a crosstown rival, a big-time crosstown rival
Okay.
of the Festus Tigers and of a few other teams that tend to trend toward the top of our power poll. Now we think that Hillsboro's off to a pretty good start.
Okay.
They defeated Moberly, Missouri, 44-34 in
Wow.
week 1. on a pretty long road trip, I think. So that was a positive for the new Hillsboro Hawks with the new quarterback Blaine Chazelle, who took over and played really, really well near the end of last season. Um, and Hillsboro is a team that I think whoever wins their conference, the Mississippi Conference this year, is probably going to go to the state playoffs. The way that the bracket is set up, I think that uh, whoever wins the Mississippi Conference is probably going to go on to win District 1, Hillsboro's playoff district. And then I think whoever wins that district has a really good shot to go ahead and advance through the quarterfinals of the state playoff. Just personal opinion, I think that that conference race and the district race, which is sort of connected to it, that comes later, is going to be real crucial. And getting another one of our dirty dozen teams into the state bracket.
All right. Okay. Who does the geek have listed at number 2?
We'll talk about power poll rankings making people upset. I think when the Hillsboro fans hear who the number 2 team is, they're going to say, "Hey, we won in week 1, and you ranked a team above us that is 0-1. They didn't win in week 1."
Uh-oh.
Well, the Seckman Jaguars are ranked ahead of the Hillsboro Hawks at number 2, and the Seckman Jaguars did not prevail in week 1. They were upset by the Parkway West Longhorns, 28-27.
Okay.
But we don't want to overreact to week 1 outcomes. It's hard to know everything about what's going on right now with the strength of everybody's opponent. I feel like we can already say that Seckman played a tougher team in week 1 because Parkway West has a Division I quarterback. He's already signed to Missouri State. I think his name is Brett Ottensmeyer, but it's a really long name. I hope I'm getting that right. But they were bamboozled by Brett Ottensmeyer for about 300 passing yards in week 1 and lost either 28-27 or 27-26, I think, to
Okay.
the Parkway West Longhorns. We're going to keep them at number 2 for now.
Okay.
Hillsboro definitely has a chance to pass them with a couple more victories. So nobody get mad. We're doing the best we can, and we're trying to think long term. Besides, Seckman just had a 22-game winning streak snap, so we got to be nice to them.
Yeah, we have to be very nice. Okay, geek. Let me take a guess at who you have listed as number 1. Rising up, back on the street. Didn't time, took my chances.
Yes.
Now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive.
You have no idea
High of the
how
time,
long
the
or
thrill
how
of
many times I've played that song, how many times I've had to play that song on a PA for that matter, because I used to DJ the Festus Tigers. And you got to go with Eye of the Tiger.
Yes.
It's essentially Festus has essentially 2 fight songs. So it's essentially one of the Festus Tigers' 2 fight songs is Eye of the Tiger. There's another sort of formal one that they have, and then Eye of the Tiger is the fun one.
That's the good one. Yeah. Oh boy.
So the Festus Tigers are ranked number 1. I didn't expect to be ranking Festus number 1 after 1 week of this season. I think one of the reasons we're ranking Festus so emphatically number 1 this week is because they were so impressive in week 1 relative to expectations. Now, here's a team that went to the Show Me Bowl last year, lost in the Show Me Bowl to Lutheran North,
Okay.
a big time private school powerhouse from sort of West St. Louis County. And everybody thought that they would probably have like a hangover. And we've seen other teams have hangovers from going to the state championship game. Hillsboro, to their credit, really didn't have one last year, but the previous team from nearby, which isn't on our power poll, but is called the Park Hills Central Rebels from a town Park Hills close to here, won the state championship 2 years ago. and then they just fell off a cliff.
Okay.
The Festus Tigers impressed me because I thought in week one they were really supposed to lose. It had a lot of graduations coming off of a championship team the season before, and with the hangover aspect, the week one aspect, having to go all the way to Rolla, Missouri to play the Rolla Bulldogs. If you've never heard of Rolla, it's about halfway from here to Branson.
Oh, wow.
When you go from here to Branson, Rolla is like your halfway, stop and have lunch kind of town. So I thought they were expected to lose. Not only did they win, but the Tigers played an outstanding game from the beginning. Really won handily over the Rolla Bulldogs. Once again, a much bigger school. We got so many of our teams play in bigger schools at this point,
Yeah.
and Rolla is one of them. Festus beat Rolla for the second year in a row in week one. Parker Perry, the new quarterback, starting quarterback, first new starting quarterback Festus has had in a few years, taking over at the helm, had a terrific game. I think 4 touchdown passes or 4 or 5 combined touchdowns. I'll have to look that up again, but he had a marvelous game, and most of it came in the first half because in the second half, Festus was just handing the ball off behind a really big offensive line and just running the clock out on Rolla. So that was a great surprise, and we think that Festus might just have a comparable team to the wonderful state playoff team from last year, which is so far the biggest surprise, in my opinion, in the county. So that's great to have the very top of our power poll flourishing again.
Wow. Okay. So I guess we have wrapped up our coverage of the 12 teams. Geek, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Well, we're not wrapping it up for long. Next week, we're going to come back on YouTube, and these videos will be posted and profiled at Mississippi Magazine in articles. So these are going to be in article videos, and then we're going to post them in our Facebook group as well. So we're going to try to come back and alternate the topics each week. I think next week we're going to save the predictions. So Rolynn, if you do have a curious question about the prediction for a game, next week will be the perfect time to ask it. In fact, you can ask me about all of them.
Okay, that sounds perfect because I have an inquiring mind.